Yes, sir. Some things change and some things stay the same. I have lived in Cebu City, Cebu, the Philippines, for about 8 years. 3 trips here since 2015. Done 1,300 videos, I think. Since then, anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about the changes I've seen, some of the things that have stayed the same, and of course, it's going to vary by the region you're in, of course, but they're good changes. Uh, they're not as good changes. There are some things that have stayed the same, which, some people don't want the Philippines to change too much, to lose its Filipino character. For instance, the friendly people. You don't want that friendliness, that accepting attitude of foreigners to change. One of the biggest reasons many of us come here is because of the friendly English speaking people we can communicate with. And number of changes taking place. This big new condominium on the right, I forget its name, but that is relatively new up here. And I'm coming down from the road. Uh, this road comes from the area up on top of the mountain called Tops, if you can believe that. Called Tops, where there are restaurants and viewpoints and gardens, various things to do up there, resorts. Of course, one of the things that you wish you would see, the Philippines is a small country, over 7,000 islands, but really 11 largest islands. It's got a huge population, 100 and I think about 115 million people. So very densely populated and a lot of poverty. Drop 100 million people into your state, your province, and see what would happen with poverty. I saw a survey a while back. They asked people if they felt poor. Are you middle class, high class, poor? And I forget the percentage. It was, I don't know, in the 20 or 30% range, I think. But they didn't go out to the millions of people living in the informal community, the people living on the street. They didn't ask them because it's pretty obvious they are poor. But anyway, there has been a huge increase in the middle class over the years, even before I came here 2015. Huge increase in the amount of people coming up out of poverty and into what you would call the middle class. Now these last 2.5 years of travel restrictions, of shutting down the economy, threw millions and millions and millions of people into deep poverty. If they were in poverty, they went into deep poverty. If they were middle class, they went into poverty or deep poverty, and I'm sure that they did not ask those people. Anyway, this tower on the right is one of the new things going up at 128 Nivell Hills. I think this area is called Nivell Hills, and the address is the name of that new condominium. I believe it's fairly high-end. I think studios, I looked online a while back, I think studios were going for, don't quote me on this, but between 5 and 6 million pesos, I believe. Not absolutely positive. It is very close to Marco Polo, right there on the left, Marco Polo Hotel and Marco Polo residences, the condominiums. I think they've got four condominium towers down off to the left. Some of you have been there, been to the hotel, eaten at their good buffet up there, and you're up in elevation a bit, so it's just a little bit cooler as you go up in elevation. It's where you get a little bit cooler temps, but still plenty warm. I've walked down this hill quite a number of times. I've walked up it a few times. Did a video with a friend, John, where we walked all the way up to Tops here, I don't know, a year or so ago. I'm occasionally asked about the attitude of the girls. Is it the attitude of the girls? If you want to date, how difficult is it to meet the girls? I've often read comments, different places. I watch some of the different forums and stuff, and people say that the Philippines is like Thailand was 15 or 20 years ago, more welcoming and friendly, and they say now the Thai tourist people, they're out for their money. They know you're there for 5 days or 10 days, and their job is to separate you from as much of your money as they can as quickly as possible by selling you services and hopefully not scamming you. But and they say, I hope the Philippines never gets like that. Well, we'll see. I don't think that friendly, welcoming attitude, I think it's here for many, many, many years to come. You know, Filipino people are a unique group of people, and I always tell people, be friendly to them. Say hello. Although I have a friend from New Zealand, a Kiwi Bop, I won't mention his name, and he says walking down the street saying hello to people might be a sign of senility, early senility. I don't know. It's good for me. It's good for me emotionally, and I think it's good for the Filipinos because 99% of the time I get a hello, sir, back. Good afternoon, sir. And, you know, they don't know who you are. They don't know what language you speak. They don't know what your intentions are. And let them know that you're friendly, and they'll be friendly back. But the answer is yes. You know, you go to IT Park, which is a city within a city, a big commercial residential area in Cebu City, for instance, and a lot of working girls there. I mean, literally, they got job as call center people and that type of thing. And it's a different atmosphere than out in, if you go to the mall, although they have a mall there also. And so it just depends upon the part of town. But yes, it is still very, very easy to strike up a conversation with a girl and get her phone number if that's your desire. Other things that I've seen, infrastructure, generally the internet, which is very important to many people. There are more and more buildings that are getting fiber, faster fiber connections in the various condominiums, for instance. And I know I've had a lot of people comment, I'm gonna have a job, going to be a digital nomad when I come there. I need a very good internet connection, and you can find that more and more places. There are even a lot of this overhead wiring. They've been, for several years, they've been putting more of that underground. Fixing the streets, still a long ways to go. Sidewalks, still a long ways to go, fixing those. Most of these high-rise buildings you see in the big cities like Cebu City, that's happened in the last 10 to 12 years, and even in the last 8 years that I've been here, I've seen, gosh, maybe a dozen new condominium buildings, many new commercial, large, tall commercial buildings go up, and there is demand. You know, at this point in time, not as much demand as there was before 2020 when the big crisis was. But in fact, this would be a good time to travel to the Philippines, because it's going to take another year, I think. We're about to enter the high season here in the Philippines. You know, many people from the northern climates come to the Philippines during when it's cold in their climate. So November, December, January, a lot of overseas Filipino workers come back and visit their families. Big condominium. I've done videos in this condominium to the left. I think it's about 3 different videos. But at the present time, there are still thousands and thousands of hotel rooms, of condominium units, of resort rooms sitting empty, because the high season, just like in Thailand, I've read, it's just not happening as fast as they had hoped it would do once they opened up the economies. So there are options. You can find some pretty good deals out there if you want to save money. Infrastructure, as far as roads, you can see this road I'm riding on right now. They've ground it down, getting ready to resurface it. and they've been doing quite a bit of that over the last year or so. And it gets a little tricky riding on it with a motorbike like I am today. If you are up in the Manila metropolitan area, that is a huge area, you know, similar to Los Angeles. And it is, there are an enormous number of new freeways, there's new subway going in up there. As far as transportation type infrastructure, there's some bands practicing along the side of the road there. But yeah, just a huge amount of infrastructure going on. The Philippines continues to improve and expand their airports and their ferry terminals. With so many islands, of course, ferry terminals are a big part. But at the same time, when they shut everything down, they shut the airports and they shut down all the ferries, pretty much all the ferries traveling during this government crisis that we had around the world. And it has taken some time to bring everything back to where it was before. Demand, number one, you know, when you lay off, early retire, whatever, when you get rid of your pilots and your mechanics and all your airline personnel and your ferry personnel, you don't just snap your fingers one day and everybody's back in place. You know, they've gone on, they've found another job, they've moved to another city, whatever they've done. It takes time to get all that back in place. And read a while back, even some of the airlines, they're stealing parts off of one plane because they're not using them all. The demand isn't there yet, so they don't have all their flights back going. And you know, maybe once or twice a month I'll read a news story or an email from some airline saying, oh, we're going to add a flight from here to here in December, if you're interested. So it's taking time to get the personnel back in place, to get the planes back flyable. As far as ferries, to get them all up and running, and they're not going to put ferries out there and run them empty. You know, you've got to make a profit, so the demand has to be there. One interesting sign I find when I walk, and I do a lot of walking. Some of you know I took a bad fall here a little over a month ago. Busted my shoulder up real bad, and doctor said did surgery and tried to put it back together again with a bunch of titanium, and said, no, don't move that. Don't move your arm for 3 months, and then we'll start rehab. So, but anyway, one of the signs I see when I walk are taxi yards that you didn't used to see before this crisis. You didn't see many taxis parked in there. They're in there just for servicing, and now they're full. They pulled a lot of the taxis off the road because the demand isn't there. But many Filipinos have gone back to their province during these lockdowns. They haven't come back. They're living with a family, got jobs back in their province, back in their old towns. And the demand from foreigners isn't here yet. You know, it's got a long ways to go to get back to normal. So anyway, in the final analysis, I am enjoying the Philippines. I know I watch several different forums and groups, and they're just I don't know how many millions of foreigners are over here from different countries, but a lot of very happy people that they're living here in the Philippines, whatever the area that might be, up in Manila and the provinces north or south of Manila, Batangas, on the various islands, Panay, Negros, Cebu, Bohol, Leyte, Samar, so many choices to choose from. And you can live in the big city, you can live near the big city. Your cost of living will be affected somewhat. Your availability of goods will be affected somewhat by where you live. This is Ramos Street. Ramos Street goes up, will hit the Mango Square type area. It used to be an entertainment area here in Cebu City, and that's changed over the years. Now the bars and entertainment's kind of scattered out a little bit. Anyway, that's it. What have you guys seen in your areas as far as changes, good or bad? going to leave it here. Take care and safe travels to you wherever you're at.